Louise Shannon is going to come up and tell us about 3D printed guns.
Hi, I'm Louise Shannon. Nice to meet you all. Until recently, I was curator of digital design at the Victoria and Albert Museum here. It's the longest, most long-winded acquisition I ever did and the shortest talk I've ever given about it. Very quickly. It's really complicated. I can talk about it break. But we were interested in design that affects everyday life, whether that's Katy Perry endorsed false eyelashes to a new definition of nude by Christian Louboutin, or indeed virtual reality and its influence in disrupting the game industry. This is our little gallery at the V&A, which is called Rapid Response Collecting. One object that we felt did this quite succinctly was the 3D printed gun, which on the 6th of May 2013 was fired by this chap here, Cody Wilson. He's not a designer. He comes from a law position, and he comes from a very kind of literal but real desire to promote the Second Amendment. This is the actual first test of the gun without doing it in your hand in case it blew up. This is the gun after firing, so it's ABS plastic. It takes about 20 hours to print, and it's made up of 15 parts. Importantly, none of which are made of metal. The only metal component of the gun is in the firing pin, which can be a domestic nail. This is a low receiver for an AR-15 automatic weapon. This is the only part of a gun that you need a license for. You can acquire every other part of those guns without a license. So easy, great. I go to Texas. I convince Cody to let us buy the gun. Easy, right? So this is his flat here. This is my dictaphone. I was slightly terrified, to be honest. This is his studio where it's printed. It's literally kind of 2 meters by 2 meters. But importantly, this is a licensed premises to print and manufacture arms. So Cody has a license to do this. There's his, I mean, it's very basic in this kind of workshop. And he's licensed by the government to manufacture arms. What he's not licensed for is the exportation of these arms outside of America. He's also not licensed to make the STL files available on the internet. However, he did that a day after firing the weapon. They were downloaded 100,000 times and then seized by the US government, who thought Cody might have contravened export licenses for letting files be downloaded outside of America. Mind-blowing. Anyway, we've bought this gun. We have to get it on display. And we have a license to show and exhibit arms, but we can't get them into the country. And we're kind of, you know, tapping our toes, trying to get it on display. How do we get around this? So whilst it sits in a hangar in Texas waiting to be exported, we have to get one printed in London. And of course, the idea, you just print it yourself, right? It's easy. No, you still need an arms license. So we got that done in London. The parts that you saw there in grey were actually made out of plaster, and the white parts were plastic. So if someone broke into the V&A and really wanted to make the gun and tried to do it, it would just fall apart. There was quite a lot of hysteria around this time. Someone may know who this was, actually. Poor guy in Manchester got raided for having gun parts when he was just printing a part for his MakerBot. Poor guy. And thanks to Jonathan Jones, the arts correspondent at the Guardian, of course we know that guns kill people. We have a very large arms and armour collection in the V&A. But what we really wanted to do is to bring that into the museum and to have a very real and careful discussion about what happens when you start to democratise design, when you kind of explode a whole industry. What does that mean? Was that the day that kind of 3D printing lost its innocence? Maybe, who knows?